I'm gonna switch gears with you.
Go ahead.
Now I know it. I read this book, and it made me think. The title made me think of you with all these with conversations that we had.
Uh-oh.
So this book,
One flew over the cuckoo's nest.
Gianni Russo, Hollywood Godfather. Now, before you talk,
Yeah, let me see.
Hollywood
Oh,
Godfather.
okay. I know he is. All right.
Yeah. The book's called Hollywood Godfather. And the whole book is about all his relationships with Hollywood. And he has all these, he knows all these actors and actresses and celebrities and famous people. But he talks about how he was a connected guy in the mob and knew all these people. But when I heard the title, I sat here and I thought of all the conversations that you and I have had. Now I'm going to read off a list of people, okay, of that you either helped with their career or somehow indirectly were involved with these people, okay? I'm going to run off this list. Sylvester Stallone, Mickey Rourke, Steven Seagal, John Amos, Armand Assante, Anthony Quin, George Santo Pietro, Larry Romano, Tony Monaco, Brett Ratner, Rebecca Gayheart, Toni Braxton, Tupac Shakur, Al Lewis, Joe Pesci, Kelly LeBrock, WOV radio station, popular radio station, Stevie Kaplan, and a host of other, there's probably some other major athletes and celebrities and things like that. Are you the Hollywood Godfather?
One
more before you go. The reason I thought about this, there was a guy that left a comment in our comment section and asked me to ask you about a guy named Anthony Mason. All right, he was a pro basketball player, a pro athlete in the NBA. So when I thought of that, I connected all this together. So answer it how you want to answer it.
All right. Before I got made, they were just people on TV. When John Gotti Sr. became the boss, he had some interactions with some of these people. And at one point during the course of his case, even predate that, there was a movie being made with Mickey Rourke. Oh, you throw in a name there that maybe I never talked about, was Ray Sharkey. Ray Sharkey did Idolmaker, I believe. I think it was an Academy Award. We won some kind of award for something. Ray Sharkey was with a guy named Bobby Borriello. And Bonamo Bobby Borriello. And Sharkey was with him. And he went to Hollywood. He was a cab driver. And went out to Hollywood, made friends with Mickey and some other big Hollywood figures. And there was a movie being made they wanted to make called Westies. It was about the Westies. And somebody got a copy of the script when John Sr. was on the street and figured we could alter the script, not me. We had some influence to try to alter the script or just squash it altogether. Because it made some guys in our family, a captain specifically, I won't mention his name right now, maybe down the road, made him look bad because he had taken part of the Roy DeMeo crew because Roy DeMeo handled the Westies at one point, then somebody else did after that. Anyway, there was a meeting. Ray Sharkey wanted to bring in Mickey Rourke because Mickey Rourke was proposed to play Mickey Featherstone in the movie. And Mickey, with his girlfriend at the time, Carrie Otis, who was a big model, he did a movie with her, came to New York. And John had invited him in and wanted to talk about this movie that Mickey was going to play the lead role, Mickey Featherstone. And it was myself, John Jr., I believe was there, Bobby Borriello, and a host of captains, about 10 guys. And Mickey was asked, what about this movie? And if it could be squashed. And he says, I don't know if it could be squashed, but if you ask me, John, I won't do the movie. I think Mickey was going to get about $4 million at the time. He was an A-listed actor. So during the course of that, the night, that beautiful dinner, the best wine, champagne, as you could imagine. At the end of the night, John turns around to me and goes, Michael, why don't you take him to Brooklyn, show him a good time? That was my entranceway going forward and into Hollywood. I wound up representing Mickey in a couple of beefs that he had, protecting him. Got to be extremely good friends with him. Made a movie that Larry Romano was on Jimmy Calandri's show.
I saw that.
Larry's talked a little bit about it. I put Larry in that movie. I put a couple of my friends in that movie. I got them locations, all with John Jr.'s permission at the time. Later on, John Jr. had said, Michael, you're going to handle all the Hollywood stuff. Anything that comes out of there, anything in California, including the boss of California, Pete Milano at the time. Pete has since passed. And we had some beefs with some of those names on that list that we straightened out. So, yeah, that was my entranceway. Was through John Sr. And then later on, through all these other people that had some form of interaction or influence in and upon. Yeah, it was very interesting. A lot of great people. It's interesting, the mindset, because like take a kid like Brett Ratner. When I first met Brett Ratner, he was a little skinny kid. I met him through Mickey Rourke. Mickey Rourke was a great conduit for a lot of these people that I've met. The guy seen talent when they were nobodies. And there's prime examples like Adrian Brody, Tupac Shakur. He brought them to me. He said Tupac's going to be a great star one day. He had him in his movie called Bullet. And the reason why I didn't hang around with him and his whole posse, they were whacked out every day smoking pot. And I says, I can't have these guys around, But I met him, and he was a gentleman. His guys were gentlemen, but at the time, he was just a guy. You know what I mean? In the movie. And I got to be tied up with these guys getting whacked out all the time. So I passed. To my chagrin, the guy wound up being a pretty good guy, and I wish I would have had some interaction with him. But Mickey led me on a road down this path to meet a lot of other people in that business, in that industry, with John Jr.'s permission, who put me in charge. So Anthony Mason, I'm curious to the guy who mentioned Anthony Mason, because not too many people about a story about Anthony Mason. Pretty interesting. I sent you a picture. I think it was yesterday or the day before.
Yep.
It was at a golf outing.
I posted it yesterday for anyone that wants to look at it. Check our community board, and you'll see a picture of. It's up there right now.
Yeah. So John Jr. liked to do a lot of charity work. Many people don't know that about him.
I didn't know that about him.
Oh yeah, absolutely. He would take 10,000 every Christmas, go out, send money to this place in Harlem, and they would buy kids bikes and all that other stuff. His father did the same. He just carried that on. He donated to some charities without his name, I believe. I think he just gave the money.
That's even more. That's when it's more authentic.
Yeah.
When you don't need your name on it, you're just doing it out of love of your heart. So that's nice. That's a nice story to hear. I never knew that.
Well, I don't think a lot of people have heard this before.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm going to talk straight. I'm not here to bash anybody. There's a lot of good stories, and then there's a lot of things, a lot of decisions and events that I disagree with that I will talk about. Doesn't mean I'm right, but I will tell as I seen it, and let history and others decide on whatever I say. So getting back to Anthony Mason, there's a woman that comes out of Harlem called Mother Hale. It's called Mother Hale. She started a children and infant charity in Harlem. She was an elderly woman. I'm not sure when she passed. I think it was just before we started going to these charity events, golf charity events out in the Engineers Club, I believe. I don't want to give the wrong, but I think it was the Engineers Club out in Long Island. Very high high maintenance place. You got to pay a lot of money to be a member. And Junior once said to me, "Hey, Michael, we're going to go to this Mother Hill. There's going to be basketball players, football players, ESPN's probably going to be there, and we're going to get a couple of tables. And I want you to, we're going to take a table for ourselves. I'm going to go out there. It was cost 20. I think it was 2,500 a table at the time. I'm going to go there. We'll have some laughs. Get a couple of your friends. We'll go there. We'll play golf. We'll play golf. You know, it was a goof. So we went out there, and the first year, I believe, and we had a great time. Got a lot of laughs. We met some Dave Meggett, Pepper Johnson, Vinny Testaverde, a multitude. Lawrence Taylor was there. A multitude of plays. We had a lot of laughs. So the following year, I believe it was, it could have been 95-ish. The following year, we did the same thing. I had my stone company and my yard up. So we took 2 tables, and John took 2 tables. So we went for like 10,000, I guess, in the charity event tables. And at the end of the night, after we played golf with these foursomes, let me just backtrack because I got a funny story. John was playing on the team. I think it was with Pepper Johnson. And I think I played with Dave Meggett this year. It was 2 or 3 years. That's why I got confused on who played when and what year. Please allow me that. John, if you're listening, I know you're going to pick this apart in a good way. But Pepper Johnson was making a putt, and Junior was on that side with a couple other people. And we had our own celebrity. Again, I think it was Dave Meggett. So I had like, I don't know, $10,000 or $20,000. It was all I could own 20. It was a big stack I had to give to Junior. And Pepper Johnson's about to make a putt, like a 2-footer, you know? So I take the money out of the bag, and I throw it on the green, and I says, how much to miss that putt? And everybody bust out. Pepper Johnson dropped the club on the floor, and we all had a big laugh. So they got around. They knew by the second year they knew who and what we were. You know.
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah.
So now we go to the after golf and with a party to have a auction. Now in this auction, you know, there's a whole room, a clubhouse full of people. There's a lot of people with it. A lot of legitimate people with big money were there. And being a junior had this arsenal of cash right now. He would have done it anyway, but he had this extra arsenal of cash I gave him. There was an auction, a bid on Michael Jordan sneakers, this guy's basketball sign, you know, all this other stuff. And John wouldn't let anybody win the auction. He kept bidding it because he just wanted to give all the money away. I turned around and said, boy, you got to let somebody win. You got to, you know, let somebody else win something. And he goes, oh, okay, yeah. So at the end of that, a girl that had put this event together who got John involved was from Queens, really nice girl. She did this out of the kindness of her heart, putting this event together. That's how John got there. So she goes over to him. I'm at another table, and she's talking to him, and I see him nod his head, and I'm looking over, and next thing you know, she walks away, and a big guy comes walking over, and John's sitting down. He goes over, they shake hands, and they start talking. So I'm looking at this guy. I don't know. He's got to be at least 6'4", 6'5". Who the hell knows how big Anthony Mason was, you know? So John eventually gets up and is standing up next to him. And they're talking. And he's shaking his head. And they shake hands, and Anthony Mason walks away. So he goes like this to me. Calls me over. I get up. I said, what's that about? What's up? He said, you never believe this. I said, what? He says he's looking for a favor. I says, for what? He says, the guy's getting shaken down by a black gang in Harlem, from Harlem. I says, yeah. He says, he wants to know if we can help him. How the fuck are we going to do this? Like he's on the spot. We're supposed to be these big mobsters, you know. Going back, you had Frank Lucas, you had Bumpy Johnson, you had a whole bunch of, you know, all these other big heroin guys from Harlem, you know. They figured we had some influence there. But at this time, I didn't know of any influence. Zero, you know, with that kind of crowd. Most of those guys were in prison anyway or gone.
Yeah.
So he goes, how are we going to do this one? I said, I'll handle it. He goes, you're going to handle it? What do you mean you're going to handle it? I says, get the names of the people. Ask Anthony if he's got the names of the people. I'll handle it. He said, how are you going to handle it? I said, give me a shot. Let me try it. He shakes his head, right? So he goes and he gets the girl to call Anthony back. The girl's not part of this. She has no clue what's going on as far as we know. Even till today, I have no clue. So they come over. Anthony writes down these names. He walks away. He gives it to me, right? That's okay. Now he says, let me introduce you to Anthony. He said, call back Mason. Comes back over. He says, exchange numbers with Michael. So we take each other's. Now, I don't give him my regular. I give him beepers at the time. Most of the time it was beepers then. So we beep a number and all this other stuff, and we call back from a pay phone or whatever. I don't want to burn the guy out, right? So he explains it to me a little bit about these guys going and shaking him down. So next day, I go see a guy named Joe Brewster, Joe DeMonico. Now, let's go back in history. He used to do construction business, and he worked for HUD. They used to do HUD work. And at one time, they were building a mosque in Manhattan. And they were allocated X amount of funds through the program they were in. And Joe was the only white guy allowed to be in Harlem because of these black Muslims. A little different than the Muslims overseas. These are American blacks who are true believers, right? Till today, I guess. I don't know. I have no contact. But they're true believers. They live their life very strict, right? Straight people. And Joe would take me up there. I would go up with him to the place. And I met a lot of these guys. They were about my age at that time. You're talking about in the 70s, late 70s, right? So Joe was friendly with the imam. So now I get it in my head because I know through all this time, we had some guys go to state prison and some Fed prisons. And they would ask for favors. If Joe could talk to the guys that were in prison, these guys that knew people in the prisons, the Muslim community, Black American Muslim in that community in prisons. So favors were done to help these wise guys out or associates that were in prison to protect them, sort of, so nobody's fuck with them, right? So I had this in my head. And like I said, I know these guys from past. So I go and ring his bell. And I explain it to him. I says, we need a favor. He said, okay, let me call. I'm not going to mention the guy's name, right? Joe gets in touch with me. He said, come to my house. I go to his house. We're sitting in the living room. The guy walks in. Hey, brother. He tells me, hey, brother, how you been? How's everything? Seen you in a long time. It's been decades, right?
Yeah.
How can I help you? And I explain it to him. He says, you got the name? I give him a slip with the guys' names. So I said, look, there'll be a donation. He said, we don't want nothing. We don't want, if we can help you, let me see what I can do. Leave. Maybe a week goes by. I'm not sure the time frame, but close. You get a call, I go back to Joe's house. This guy's there. And he goes, tell your friend he will not have any problems with those guys anymore, especially that one guy. He will not have problems anymore. So I look at him. I say, I really appreciate that. So he says, that's done. I says, well, we like to give you a donation to the mosque. He says, I don't want your money. We didn't do this for money. I said, no, you're going to make us feel better if you take some money donation for your mosque. You please take it. You make us feel better. I don't know if I gave him 1,000 or 2,000. The guy really didn't want to take the money, but I guess I put him on the spot by saying, you got kids, you got families you can help. There's a lot of poverty up there, help people out. So he took it. So I go back to Junior and I tell him the story. He goes, what do you mean you had it done? How'd you do this? I says, I just did it. He goes, what do you mean you just did it? How'd you do it? He said, I'm not telling you. I'm breaking his chops out. He goes, I'm fucking ordering you right now. I said, I'll tell you. And I broke it down. Know what he said? I never knew we had that hook. I said, we really don't. We pull that out very, very far and few between. In some words, not those exact words. But that was the story of Anthony Mason. Now, Anthony Mason, we kept in touch. He sent me tickets when he was playing with the Knicks, or maybe the Charlotte Hornets, because it was around that time where he got traded. We went to the Madison Square Garden, seeing him play. I took my son Michael. I took Danny Marino's son Danny, another kid around me, Noah Mordecai, who was very close to my family, and our families go way back. So we went. Anthony Mason was a good guy, very appreciative of what we did. Never held him to do anything. Never held him to throw a basketball game. Never did try to compromise him any way, shape, or form. The man has passed, so it's not that if I something I had to say, I would say it. The guy was a perfect gentleman. Didn't know how to thank us. He bought, I'm pretty sure, a basketball hoop, and I lived in an apartment at the time. We were going to put this basketball hoop, backboard, glass backboard, all this with the pole for my son Michael at the time. So hopefully bore anybody with that story, but that's just one of many when it comes to celebrities, athletes, etc., that we're involved with some way, somehow.
It's a great story. It's a fantastic story. I'm ordering you right now. That's pretty funny. Well, YouTube's getting a bonus this week, Michael. We were not planning on giving people 50 minutes of content. So
how long?
You guys go.
Is it that long? I'm getting a cramp on my jaw. You're killing me.
Yeah, 48 minutes, and they got some good stories today. It was supposed to be a 15-minute show. So,
you know what? It's nice to do 15 minutes.
Yeah.
If you're going to tell the right story, as much detail as you could put into it to let people understand the intricacies of what really goes on how it went. You can tell a story. Yeah, I helped out Anthony Mason with a problem. Me and Junior, this, that, it's over.
Yeah.
But what happened? So sometimes you got to be long-winded.
Yeah.
Again, like I said, I hope I didn't bore anybody.
No, I'm telling you, you're a professional storyteller. You're the best.
So, I don't know how to take it.
This is good stuff.
How about this? I'm a good event teller.
Event teller. I like that better. There you go.
I could be Walt Disney for a minute.
Okay. Excuse me.
That's right.
Michael, this is a great discussion. Everyone, I read most of the comments. I read all the comments, to be honest with you. Feedback, can't thank you guys enough. Really appreciate the overwhelming support that's been coming in. Michael and I have been paying attention. We're kind of going a different angle here. We're trying something new. We want to be gentlemen. We want to talk about good stories. We want to have a classy channel. So, and the audience seems to represent that. So thank you guys. You guys leave beautiful comments, great feedback. You guys give us more motivation to keep on going. So thank you. Continue to leave your comments. I'm going to collect up some of the better comments that have some good questions. I'm going to do a show where I ask Michael some of these comments. So thank you. Please support our channel. Please just through leaving a comment, hitting a like button, or sharing the video with your friends and bringing more people to our to what we're doing. Coming soon, we will put out some information on our community board as far as when we will be going to Patreon, how you can subscribe to Patreon, the difference between YouTube and Patreon. Largely what you're going to get on Patreon is Gambino stories, Michael's time in the Gambino family, from his perspective, how he's seen things from his eyes. Again, this is not going to be a hit piece show. Doesn't matter if we're on Patreon or we're on YouTube. We're going to do a classy gentleman show. But if you want to hear some of the stories about Michael while he was in the Gambino family, you're going to have to go to Patreon for that. But we will continue to come on YouTube. We'll do some stories. We will do some lives. We will we'll interact with people. Does that sound right to you, Michael?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And if I can make a comment about the previous show about our penal system, I think there was a little maybe misunderstanding of just, talking about John Gotti Sr. and what he suffered and went through, and myself, that a little bit that I went through for that 6 months. This wasn't about an individual, him and I as individuals who had this. It was a broader conversation. I know there's a misconception out there as how it came off. Look, unless I could point to something direct, myself being affected by this, and John Gotti Sr. being affected by this, I could speak to that because these people had it done to them. It wasn't about us. It was on a broad scale of what happens just in our penal system with how people are being treated unfairly at times. Again, you could have the most egregious people. You could have child molesters, rapists, murdering little boys and little girls. Sure, family. I understand if you would want them tortured. Absolutely. You kill my kid, rape my kid, kill me, because I'm hurting you. I'm going to find my way to hurt you. Like any other parent you feel would, or would want vengeance and the most egregious things to happen to them. Because what happened to them as victims, never mind the kid is a victim, the whole family becomes victim. I understand that. I wasn't saying John Gotti needs sympathy or Michael DeLeonardo needs sympathy. But we were talking about the penal system in this country. As a country, they're supposed to think differently. The United States government is supposed to think differently. Not for Italians, not for Irish, not for any Spanish, Black, anything. It's just the penal system overall. So I think some people maybe we didn't clarify, RJ, enough what we were trying to portray and get out there. It's the penal system, the government's way they treat people in prison.
You couldn't have said it better. I completely agree. It wasn't we used John Gotti as just one figure who was affected by it. But even from my perspective, I still take the position. I don't care what you did. If the crime is so bad, give them, we say constitutionally, we do not, as Michael called it, torture. I said cruel and unusual punishment. We say that's unconstitutional. So I'm not saying whether or not it's someone did deserve it or didn't deserve it. I don't think you can claim that you're better than what you're punishing if you're punishing it in a torturous way. I'm RJ Roger. This is the No Excuses show. Please continue to support us. Michael, you have anything you want to close out with?
That's it. Thank you for the support. Tune in, and hopefully I can make you laugh a little bit and educate you as what went on behind the scenes. We all know what the newspapers say. We all know what other people say, and they're entitled to their opinion. I will give you my insight as far as I know it, and I welcome a critique. I welcome the challenge if I say something wrong from anybody out there. I'm open-minded. I could be corrected. I could stand corrected. So please be involved, everybody out there. And I see a lot of people all over the world that coming to us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
I got a big fan base in England, I see.
12%. Yeah. Thank you, guys. We'll see you next week.
Thank you.